So my name is Beatrice Boakye-Yiadom, and I'm the grant manager at the African Women's Development Fund. In the next 10 minutes, I'll give you a gist about AWDF, but I'm going to go into details about our grant making process. The earlier speakers have spoken about grant making in general and application in general, so I'm not going to do that. The African Women's Development Fund was founded in the year 2000 by 3 amazing African women, and the focus was to fund women's rights organizations on the African continent. We are located in Ghana, but we work across the 54 African countries and then 5 Middle East countries for a particular project that we are currently running. Our mandate is to resource, sustain, and amplify women's rights organizations and movements in Africa. And how do we do this? We do this through grant making, capacity building, movement building, knowledge management, and then amplifying women's voices. But for this session, I'm going to talk about our grant making process. And so to apply to AWDF, you would need to send in an application like all other funding organizations. You need to send in both a narrative and a financial proposal. And what are the things that we are looking for? We are expecting that you'll be able to clearly tell us what your context is, and then you'll be able to also clearly tell us what you seek to achieve at the end of the project and the activities that can lead to those outcomes. We also are interested in knowing how you would know that you've been successful, and therefore you need to be able to give us a monitoring and evaluation plan. We are also interested in the experience that you have to be able to undertake that project and show us how you'll be able to manage it. That's where others spoke about the governance and the policies and the things that you have. We also are very interested in your financial management system. You would have to send in a budget and then also send in an audited report or an income and expenditure statement that is signed by the appropriate people. We would then take you through a due diligence process, which is usually a self-administered questionnaire. This due diligence process is not to eliminate, it's just to help you strengthen it. As I said, AWDF has a capacity building mandate as well. And one of the things that we do is to accompany our partners. And therefore, this due diligence process is to help us to be able to give you the necessary support. In terms of the grant making, we make grants twice a year, in May and November of every year. And so we put out a call, usually around February and June of every year. It's when we put out the call that women's rights organizations apply to us. Again, I want to stress that we only work with women's rights organizations. We are not a social enterprise project support organization, but as part of our work, we do sometimes support social enterprises, but we usually support social justice work in Africa and then in the 5 Middle East countries. This is not a Middle East audience, and so I'm not emphasizing that. We support both program and institutional development. And so you can apply to AWDF to help you strengthen your organization, be it your financial management system, be it whatever it is with your, be it your governance, whatever it is, we are able to support you. We also are able to support single or multi-country projects. And so if you want to, if your project is working across the 3 countries, we will be able to support you. Our grant sizes currently ranges from $2,000 to $500,000, depending upon the organization applying to us and what their capacity is, their ability to manage the grant is. However, we support up to only 50% of your previous year's income. And so if your previous year's income was, say, $100,000, you can only apply to us for $50,000 as part of our risk management and also as part of the organization's risk management processes. AWDF works in 3 thematic areas: body and health rights, economic security and justice, and leadership participation and peace. Within the body and health rights, we work on every issue that has to do with the woman's body. So it can be around violence against women and girls, with all its ramifications, be it forced marriages, if you want to address intimate partner violence, if you want to address anything that has to do with violence against women and girls, FGM, we support it. We also support work around sexual and reproductive health and rights, or projects that are addressing emotional and well-being of and mental health of women and girls. We support work around responding to the HIV/AIDS pandemic, either prevention or response, and anything that has to do with non-communicable diseases, we work around it. In terms of economic security, we work on all activities that seek to empower women economically. And so be it in the formal and informal sector, advancing food security, women's land and property rights, women's housing rights, work around environment, climate change, green economy, anything that has to labor rights, anything that has to do with acknowledging women's contribution to the economy and also promoting women's equitable participation in the economy. We also work on leadership participation and peace issues. So anything that ensures that women participate in leadership and governance issues, anything that ensures that women are involved in peace and security processes, any project that is creating a good democratic operating space for women's rights organizations to operate. And so these are three key thematic areas. However, we also do have cross-cutting themes. And by this, we mean areas that we are very, very interested in. We are interested in projects that is involving the participation of women facing multiple discrimination. These are, say, women living with HIV/AIDS, women living with disability, women living in the rural areas, women in refugee camps, any category of women who are very, very disadvantaged. We are very, very interested in that. We are also interested in projects that promote the participation of young women, the use of technology, the use of arts, culture, and sports. And so if a project is employing any of these cross-cutting themes, we are very, very interested in that. Who can apply to AWDF? All women's rights organizations in Africa are eligible to apply to AWDF. But the organization must be 3 years old and above. And it must be led and managed by women. What do we mean by led and managed by women? The executive director must be a woman, the board chair must be a woman, and 70% of the board and the staff must be women. We believe that women can have the ability and must be given the opportunity. And so we are working our talk by prioritizing women-led organizations. The organization that is applying to us must be legally registered. It must not be a political or religious entity. And the intervention must be for the benefit of women and working with women. If you're applying to AWDF, there are a few things you need to note. The first thing is to check the eligibility. If you are not women-led, please don't apply, because we only work with women-led organizations. And I have explained what we mean by women-led. The executive director and the board chair must be women, and 70% of the staff and the board must be women. You must be able to tell us what problems you are seeking to address. So your context must be very well stated. You must also let us know what your end goal is. In doing this, what do you expect to achieve? And how would you be able to show that it is successful? You must also tell us which group of people you'll be working with. And the project design must show linkage to the outcome. If you want to ensure that you are addressing issues around HIV and AIDS, the activities that you are stating, will they lead to addressing that particular issue you seek to address? Again, whenever we put out a call, we put out a guidance note. And in the guidance note, you see thematic priorities for that call. Please read the guidance note and ensure that application you are sending in fits those priorities. Again, please do not request more than about the ceiling. Usually in the call, sometimes we give the ceiling for how much we are giving out that particular cycle. And then again, it must not be more than 50% of your previous annual income. What to expect? It's a very competitive process. We get a lot of applications. For our last cycle in April 2021, we got 108 applications. We were only able to support 81 of them to the tune of over $9 million. And so it's a very, very competitive process. And so please, if you are writing to the AWDF or applying to the AWDF, look at our guidance notes and ensure that whatever you are sending to us fits the guidance that we've given onto you. Thank you very much, and I'll take all the questions you have in the chat. Thank you so very much. If you want more information about us, check our website, www.awdf.org.